The Ghost of Army Ranger Wing. Chapter 1. The Mayor's Daughter. St. Mary's School hallway. The faint chatter of kids, lockers slamming and laughter echoing. The squeak of the mop on linoleum, and then the mocking voice of a teenage girl. She is just a janitor. She cleans and fixes broken stuff around here. She's a nobody. The trio is laughing, sharp, cruel, cutting. Those words were meant to sting. But for Maria Lopez, they were little more than the babble of a spoiled child, an ill-informed teenage girl that needed to feel good about humiliating someone beneath her. Amy O'Connell was the daughter of the mayor, and she had her rich little friends surrounding her, so she had to impress them. Maria saw her as nothing but a mere scared little girl. Then the mop clatters to the ground as she kicks it out of Maria's hands. Amy O'Connell, sneering. Oops, dropped your stick, janitor. More laughter and mocking echoing in the hall. Amy O'Connell, daughter of the mayor. Surrounded by her pack of rich little jackals. Maria saw right through her, just a scared little girl, desperate to be queen of the hallway. A pause and Maria bends to pick up the mop. Maria, softly, under her breath, Spanish accent. Nina Estepida. Stupid girl. Amy mocking. What was that? Speak English, janitor. Maria, calm, even. I said, enjoy your throne while it lasts. She turned her back, mop in hand. But what Amy and her entourage didn't know, Maria Lopez was not just the janitor. She was a ghost. 17 years ago, she was Shane Callahan, highly ranked officer in the Army Ranger Wing, ARW, also known by its Irish name, Syathan Fiannaglach an Airm. It is the Special Operations Force of the Irish Defence Forces that a few can say they know. Her missions were highly covert and so classified that it was not even part the normal army. Ireland's silent shadows, the ghosts the world never sees. Missions erased, names struck from record. 5 women, bound in secrecy. If they were caught, they didn't exist. Eva Santos was one of them. Daughter of Spanish immigrants. Fierce. Unbreakable. The kind of soldier who made the impossible look effortless. Ava was Shane's anchor until she wasn't. Shane recalls the last day she was with Ava on another impossible mission. A military radio static, boots on gravel, muffled explosions. Silence. The sudden silence. Silence where once a heartbeat. Ava died because the mission had gone wrong. Her last request, keep your promise, look after my daughter. And so, Gabriela Santos became Shane's vow. Gabriela's father, Liam O'Connell, started drinking, struggling to accept Ava's loss. Then one day he stumbled out of a bar drunk and into an oncoming truck. Gabriela was raised by his family, but they were old and couldn't always do what was needed, so Shane would always make sure she was taken care of. She created an anonymous fund for Gabriela. She saw her grow up, through kindergarten to every milestone. Always watching from a distance. Now she is 18 and at this school, and the only way Shane could be close was to be a janitor here. Shane Callahan presumed dead with her team 17 years ago. When the mission went wrong and her whole team was killed in action, she became a ghost. Even though she was already a ghost to society and the world because of ARW, she now is for all intents and purposes dead. She crawled out of the debris and didn't look back. To everyone and the world she disappeared. But the thing about ghosts is that there are people that sees them and sometimes it's the wrong people. So, Maria Lopez was born. Now, 17 years later, Maria Lopez pushed her mop through the corridors of St. Mary's School. Just a janitor to the world. But every step, every glance at Gabriela, 18, bright, stubborn, the mirror of her mother, was part of that promise. The door creaks open to the storage room. Dim lights flicker on, and she touches the panel. The faint click of a keypad and a hidden door slides open. Behind the shelves of her janitor's closet, another life hummed. For monitors. Hidden feeds. Every hallway, every classroom under her eyes. Her keyboard clicks as she types, the chair creaking under her weight. On screen, Gabriela, in the library, head buried in a book. The sight pulled a swell of pride from Shane's chest. Ava's fire. Liam O'Connell's stubbornness. A future worth protecting. Maria, whisper, almost prayer. Mi pequeña, you will never walk this world unguarded. But shadows don't rest for long. And Maria Lopez, Shane Callahan, knew the sound of danger better than anyone. The week the pattern continues with strange vehicles. Unsanctioned deliveries. She listens to the faint sounds on the monitor. The chatter about kidnappings. She wasn't just mopping floors. She was waiting. Watching. Guarding. Because the thing about ghosts is that the wrong people sometimes see them. Chapter 2. Ghosts Stirred to Life. Friday morning in school corridor, just another day for most footsteps, distant chatter, rain tapping faintly at windows. Maria Lopez wiped down the principal's office windows, her motions steady, practiced, until voices inside froze her blood. They're muffled voices through a door, and she moves quietly to listen. Male voice 1, stern, low. Will increase security. More checkpoints if need be. But Mr. Donald, the mayor's daughter, is to be taken to safety at the slightest hint of danger. Inside, a chair creaked nervously. Principal Donald, anxious. Extra security will disrupt the school. Male voice 2, cutting him off, sharp. I don't care about disruptions. I care about the safety of Amy O'Connell. The voices stopped suddenly and the door creaks open. The footsteps of the man measured, heavy, deliberate. Maria lowered her head, cloth still circling the glass. But she could feel him before she saw him. A tall man. Black suit. Earpiece. The bulge of steel under his jacket. He stopped in front of her. Man in suit, low, commanding. Miss Lopez, right? But she is silent, only her cloth wrung out, dripping water. She nodded without looking up. Man in suit. I hear you've noticed irregularities. Then she drops the cloth into bucket and look at him. Maria, soft, accented, careful. Si, senor. Deliveries unscheduled. Maintenance crew changed twice this week. Too much movement. He studied her. A predator gauging prey. Man in suit, suspicious. And how would a janitor know to look for these things? The question is fair, but Maria can sense the dismissal underneath. Maria wipes hands on her overalls. Her footsteps shifting to appear nervous. Maria, measured, with quiet steel. Senor. I live in a neighborhood where danger is not a guest, it is a neighbor. You learn to read things. I see, I tell Mr. Donald. Nothing more. His gaze lingered, heavy. Then, finally, a curt nod. Man in suit. Understandable. If you notice anything else, strange cars, unusual faces, you come directly to me. Understood. Maria, softly. Si, senor. She picked up the bucket, retreating into shadow. His eyes followed her all the way down the corridor. She knows she will have to be extremely careful not to draw too much attention to herself. Over the weekend, she sent books and stationery to Gabriella, as always, under the guise of a scholarship. The promise continued, invisible but unbroken. Monday morning brings more movements. More delivery trucks. Strange boots echoing in the hall. Another unscheduled delivery. Another note in her worn leather book. But then, she froze. Because walking through the front doors of St. Mary's was a ghost of her own. Her heels clicking on marble, that confident, sharp foreign, Shane remembers so well. French poised. Marguerite Moreau. Marguerite was part of an international special forces collaboration between Ireland and France. They met while on a mission together and hit it off immediately. Once, she had been fire and wine. A storm Shane had drowned in willingly. 2 years of passion. 2 years of reckless love. Then fights started. Shane was always away on covert missions and Marguerite could not handle it. She was not satisfied with the generic answers Shane gave, as her whole life was classified. They started arguing on small trivial things, then it escalated to more intense accusations and fights. Marguerite accused her of not loving her, not trusting her, and not putting her first. It was a struggle for Shane, and she watched the love of her life slowly turning into a stranger. She tried to spend more time with her, tried to convince her of her love, but Marguerite's stubborn French passion was not convinced. Secrets threatening to be exposed. It was a struggle for Shane, and she watched the love of her life slowly turning into a stranger. Then, after a brutal mission, she came back to an empty apartment. Now, Marguerite was here, speaking with security, with the principal. Her blonde curls catching the light, her voice still sharp enough to cut glass. Maria watched her on the monitors. Buried feelings cracked through like lightning through old stone. Maria, whisper, broken. Murd, not you. Not here. She inhaled deeply, forcing her calm. But suppressed emotions never stay buried. And this storm would break open. Not today. Not yet. But soon. Chapter 3. No more hiding. The storm arrived just as the chatter warned it would. Thunder to mask the breach. Lightning to blind. Rain to scatter. An alarm beep on monitor. Shane scanned the feeds. Gabriella in physics class. Students bent over notebooks, unaware of the wolves circling outside. And then she saw them. 5 shadows slipping in from the back. 5 more through the front. Precision. Formation. Mercenaries. And Maria Lopez vanished. Black overalls stripped away. Shane Callahan rose again. Black cargo pants, dark sweater, leather jacket. Auburn hair pulled tight, glasses gone. A pistol holstered at her side. A ghost reborn. She slings the backpack on while running. The stun grenade hit the front door with a small explosion, cracking the windows next to it. The security detail was scrabbling and Shane watched it all in slow motion. She saw Marguerite shouting orders while running to the classroom the mayor's daughter was in. She saw the security detail taking out 2 of the kidnappers, and the room filling with screams and running of students. Sirens of police faint in the distance because a quick call to local law enforcement from Shane. The kidnappers moved like a dance. Brutal. Fluid. Shane was faster. A corner taken at speed, one kidnapper mid-leap, dropped clean with a single shot. His body hit the ground with a thud. Her path was laser-sharp. Gabriella's classroom. End of the hall. She knew the route in her bones. The door bursts open, and students rushed out. Panic erupted around them. Shane, sharp, controlled. Move. Side doors, go. The students are running, their frightened voices fading out the doors. And then, quiet under a table sobbing, Shane saw her. Gabriella. Shane kneels and the floor creaks. Shane, gentle, close. Gabriella, look at me. We need to go. Gabriella sniffles and whispers. Gabriella, trembling. Who are you? Shane, steady, urgent. A friend of your mother's. Someone who made a promise. Trust me. Gabriella's hand slipping into Shane's. The rising of their footsteps faint through the chaos. But fate is cruel. Because at the end of the hall, blood blooming on gray pants, was a ghost from her past. Marguerite Moreau. The world slows through the muffled voices and her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Shane froze. A decade of silence crushed into a single second. Marguerite on the floor. Wounded. Eyes locked with hers. Gabriella, whisper, panicked. What do we do? The sound of sirens outside swells closer. Outside, the authorities are arriving. And in the distant gunfire echoing, Shane Callahan makes a decision that would expose her. Shane, torn, groaning softly. Run. Out the side door. Don't look back. The police are here. Go. Gabriella start running, the door slamming open and Shane exhales. And then it was only her. Shane Callahan, and the storm she had tried to bury. The gunfire continued to rattle. Smoke grenades hissing. The muffled voices shouting in French and English. She crawled low, a predator through smoke, until she reached Marguerite and their eyes met. The commotion around them became background noise. Like watching a movie in slow motion. She saw Marguerite's face goes from shock to disbelief to anger, and then just blink. Let's get you out first. She hears herself say. Marguerite nods and Shane helps her up. She lets Marguerite lean on her shoulder as she hops on one leg. Shane pushes her inside an empty classroom and barricades the door. Then she lowers Marguerite on the floor behind the desks and takes out her phone. With a few taps, she tracks the little red dot. Then she exhales and turns to Marguerite. She knows the moment of reconning has come. Shane drops her backpack and moves to examine the wound on Marguerite's leg. Her focus is solely on the wound and avoiding her eyes at all costs. She takes out her pocket knife and cuts the fabric of the pants. Her hands gripped the fabric, and her breathing is heavy as she examines the wound. Shane, flat, mechanical. Through and through. I'll bandage it. You'll live. Her knife cuts through fabric and the cloth teared. Her hands worked, steady as always. But her eyes refused to meet Marguerite's. Before she was on her feet, Marguerite reached out and grabbed her arm. Marguerite, broken whisper. Shane. Shane looks at the hand on her arm, and then at Marguerite. But before she could say anything, the door burst open. They both looked up. Man in suit, commanding. Captain. We found you. He looked at Shane, with eyes full of questions. But there was no time. Marguerite was lifted to her feet. Shane melted away into smoke, back to her storeroom. She grabs her duffel bag and zips it close. The door creaks open and then closes, and the rain outside slams louder. She slipped into the chaos, checked the tracker on her phone. Gabriella's red dot safe, home. Shane, whisper relieved. Clever girl. Suddenly a knock on her car window breaks her silence and Shane gasps. Marguerite. Bandaged, alive, eyes blazing, hair plastered to her face from the rain. She rolls down the window and rain muffled everything. Marguerite, icy loaded. We need to talk. But first, we need your help. The mayor's daughter has been taken. A long pause while the rain hammered around them. The slow heartbeat in her chest. Who took her? Still straight to the bone, I see. Marguerite's look is still ice, and Shane feels herself flinch a bit. Shane's voice is mechanical. I think they ex-military. Hired mercenaries. I saw tattoos, and the way they planned it was precision. Shane's voice is strained. Giving information will break open her cover, and she will not be able to hide anymore. The ghost was cornered. No more shadows. No more hiding. And Shane Callahan knew. Her reckoning had come. Chapter 4. The Ghost. The school had become a fortress. Screens flickered. Maps spread across tables. Police and army officers barked clipped orders into radios. The door creaks open. And then, Maria Lopez walked in. But the room felt it. Saw it. This wasn't a janitor. This was something else. Silence spreads as the murmurs die out. Man in suit, cold, suspicious. Miss Lopez, that's not who you are, is it? Before she could answer, another voice cut through. Familiar. Old. Heavy with memory, a voice she was not expecting here. Commander's voice, low, disbelieving. Lieutenant Callahan, the ghost is alive. Shocked murmurs ripple through the room. Radios fade into silence. Shane straightened instinctively. Shoulders square, chin lifted. 17 years gone, but muscle memory never fades. Commander Patrick, hushed firm. Captain Walsh, meet Lieutenant Callahan. She was one of ours. One of the best. Walsh inhaled sharply. Commander Patrick, probing. What brought you out of hiding, Lieutenant? Her eyes flicked, past Walsh, past Patrick, to the woman watching from the shadows. Marguerite. Blonde hair, steel gaze. And suddenly, Shane's voice had weighed again. Shane, steady, resolute. A promise. To Santos. Patrick nodded once, understanding. Walsh less so. But orders were orders. Captain Walsh, snapping back to command. Very well. Lieutenant, brief us. Her notebook slapped onto table. For 10 minutes, Shane laid it all out. Every odd delivery. Every shadow parked across the street. Every piece of chatter she had tracked as Maria Lopez. The officers murmuring, radios sparking to life with renewed orders. And in those 10 minutes, Maria Lopez vanished forever. Shane Callahan was back. The command center was buzzing, voices giving orders, boots stomping as soldiers were moving. She was given a team. Temporary, but sharp. They trusted her instantly, ghosts recognized their own. They hunted through warehouses. Stormed rooms. Terrorist hideouts crumbled one by one. Each raid, each door kicked in, brought her closer to the kidnapped girl. The tension hums with slow heartbeats and muffled breath. And outside the warehouse, leaning against a truck, Marguerite found her. Just a quiet before chaos, just rain dripping and muffled engines. They stood in silence at first. Marguerite, curls haloed by late sunlight. Shane, rigid, restless. Marguerite, soft, voice breaking. When I heard you were killed, my world stopped. I left, yes. But I never thought it would end like that. Without a word. Without goodbye. Shane's breath catches and her hands tremble faintly. Shane Raw. I couldn't let anyone know. We were compromised. My team, gone. It was fucked up. And all I wanted, Marguerite, was to kiss you. To forget. But duty doesn't let you forget. A long pause. Rain now heavier than the silence between them. Marguerite turned, met her eyes fully. Marguerite, whisper, trembling but firm. Shane. I'm sorry. I was stubborn. Maybe we can talk, when this is done. 17 years of silence. 17 years of exile. And yet every heartbeat, every ache, was still alive. She pushes of the truck and takes a slow measured step towards Marguerite. Close enough to smell her perfume and memories rush back. Dark and intoxicating perfume that used to drive her crazy. She lifts her hand, but stops midair when the radio on her belt crackles. Radio voice, urgent. Target confirmed. For inside. Move now. The moment shattered. Duty demanded blood. The sound of guns cocking erupted suddenly. Then boots moving out and commanders shouting orders. Shane pulled her rifle tight to her cheek. A predator once more. The ghost reborn. Gunfires erupted in the dimly lit room. Explosion around her. She moved between the rubble with grace. It was a beautiful, synchronized dance. Chaos, beautifully orchestrated. The kidnappers never saw it coming. One by one, they fell. The mayor's daughter pulled to safety. Shane slumps down on a crate and lowers her rifle. The adrenaline rushing through her like a drug. She realized that she missed this. But her mind is in turmoil, a sharp sting of truth. Her breathing is slow and measured, and she slowly gets up. She will now face the world. She can no longer hide. She will also have to face Marguerite and what the next step will be after the moment they had before the rescue. Maria Lopez was gone. Forever. And the reckoning that comes with that thought. And the ghost was alive again. Chapter 5. Aftermath and Recognition. Weeks later, as dawn falls on the city. The soft rain fading over the quiet military base. The storm had passed. The kidnappers captured. The children safe. But for Shane Callahan, the aftermath cut deeper than any mission before. She is sitting in the military base, around her the murmurs of officers, papers shuffled, and coughs in silence. Tonight, she will be honored together with her fallen teammates. 17 years later, and it's all still so alive in her mind. She stood in a hall lined with banners and medals. Her uniform crisp and heavy with the memories. Around her, commanders. Officers. Politicians all watching and some whispering. Silence falls as Commander Patrick steps forward. Commander Patrick, solemn. 17 years ago, a mission went dark. 5 soldiers were declared dead. Ghosts. Their names erased from the record. Commander Patrick. Today, one of those ghosts has returned. Lieutenant Shane Callahan. Alive. And faithful to her promise. Murmurs through the crowd, shocks everywhere. Then silence. Shane shifted under the weight of so many eyes. Pride warred with guilt. She shouldn't be here. Not without the others. Commander Patrick, voice heavy, ceremonial. On behalf of the Defense Forces, Medals of Honor, awarded posthumously to Captain O'Rourke, Sergeant Kavanaugh, Corporal Byrne, and Lieutenant Santos. The medals clink softly on wood. A silence heavy with loss. Narrator. The names struck her like bullets. Each one a sister. Each one a grave she never got to stand beside. Commander Patrick. And to Lieutenant Shane Callahan for bravery, loyalty, and sacrifice beyond recognition. For living as a ghost yet never abandoning her vow. We honor you with the Distinguished Service Medal, the Military Star, the Service Medal, and lastly the United Nations Peacekeeping Medal. He pinned the medals on her crisp uniform, took a step back, and lifts his hand in salute. Applause thundered, but Shane heard nothing. Only Ava's voice. Her last words. Look after my daughter. When the ceremony ended, she stood alone. Medals gleaming. Shoulders heavy. The ghost was no longer a shadow. Shane watches her as she moved between the crowd of people, that familiar presence, and her breath catches. Marguerite. Their eyes met across the empty hall. The ceremony was over. The real reckoning was just beginning. Chapter 6. The Promise Revealed. After the ceremony, Shane didn't go to the officers. She didn't go to the commanders. She went where her promise led her. To Gabriella. The girl sat alone in the library. Books stacked around her. Eyes red from the storm she had just lived through. A pause, Shane breathes in, steadying herself. Shane, gentle, low. Gabriella. The chair scrapes and Gabriella's breath catches. Shane stood there, uniform replaced for cargo pants and a soft gray sweater. Gabriella, hesitant, sharp. Why were they treating you like that? You're a janitor. You were just. Shane, interrupting, firm but kind. No, I wasn't just a janitor. That was my disguise. My way to stay close. She moved closer, slow, like approaching a wounded animal. And in many ways, she was. Shane, voice trembling slightly. Gabriella, my name is Shane Callahan. I served in the Army Ranger Wing. I fought alongside your mother. A silence too long. Gabriella inhales sharply. Gabriella, whisper stunned. You knew my mom? Shane nods, steady, aching. She was my sister in arms. My anchor. She saved my life more times than I can count. And before her last mission, she asked me to promise. To look after you. No matter what. Gabriella's eyes filled with tears. She studied Shane's face like she was looking for Ava inside her. Gabriella, voice breaking. All these years, it was you? The books, the scholarship, everything. Shane, softly nodding. Yes. Every step, every day, I was here. Watching. Guarding. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. A quiet sob. Then, Gabriella rushes into Shane's arms. And for the first time in 17 years, Shane Callahan held the reason she had kept breathing. Gabriella, whisper, muffled against her chest. Mom would be proud. Those words pierced deeper than any bullet. The promise was no longer secret. Gabriella knew. Ava's spirit was honored. But outside that library door, another storm waited. Marguerite. Chapter 7. The Reckoning of Hearts. Rain has slowed to a steady patter. The distant hum of a generator echoes through the empty hallways. The library door closed softly behind her. Gabriella's words still pulsed in Shane's chest. Mom would be proud. But another ghost was waiting. Marguerite Moreau stood in the corridor. No uniform now. Just her, raw, stripped of command. Blue-gray eyes locked on Shane with the same fire as 17 years ago. Pause, silence stretches. Marguerite, voice low, controlled. I don't even know where to start. Shane, steady but guarded. Then don't. Maybe there's nothing left to say. But Marguerite moved closer. Always the storm. Always unwilling to let silence win. Marguerite, sharp, breath quickening. No. You don't get to disappear for 17 years. Let me think you were dead, and then tell me there's nothing to say. She closes the distance. Air heavy between them. Shane low, raw. You left, Marguerite. You couldn't live with my shadows. And I couldn't drag you into the darkness I carried. Marguerite's jaw tightened. Her voice dropped. Marguerite, whisper, broken. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I couldn't reach you anymore. Every time I looked at you, you were already gone. Somewhere I couldn't follow. Shane swallowed hard. Memories pressed in, French music on lazy mornings, strong coffee waiting, laughter tangled in bedsheets. Shane, whisper, trembling. I thought of you every damn day. Even when I told myself I had no right. Marguerite's hand lifted, stopped midair, then finally rested on Shane's arm. Just fingertips, but it was fire. Marguerite, soft, trembling. And now? Do I still haunt you, Shane Callahan? Shane's breath caught. The answer sat heavy on her tongue. She could lie. She could retreat. But ghosts can't hide forever. Shane, low, aching. Every night. Every time I close my eyes. The space between them collapsed. Faces inches apart. The weight of 17 years pressed down, and for a heartbeat, it felt inevitable. Their breaths mingling. The faintest shift, almost a kiss, but then a sudden knock at the far door. Voices calling. The spell breaks. Duty. Always duty. They stepped back, Fire still burning, but untouchable for now. Marguerite, soft, regretful. This isn't finished, Shane. Not by a long shot. Shane, quiet, resolute. No, it never was. Marguerite walked away and silence swallows the corridor. And so, the ghost found herself caught between two promises, one to the dead, one to the living. And both would demand her heart. Chapter 8, Collision. Later that night with wind outside and the faint hum of fluorescent light in a barracks room. The world is hushed, waiting. They met again when the world had gone quiet. No guns, no missions. Just four walls, two chairs, and a silence that cut deeper than any battlefield. Marguerite exhales, nervous. Marguerite, soft, almost a whisper. I've waited 17 years to ask you this. Why didn't you come back to me? Shane, heavy pause, voice rough. Because I thought I didn't deserve you. I came back broken, a ghost with nothing left but a promise. You deserved light. Not me. A long silence. The faint creak of a chair as Marguerite leans closer. Marguerite, sharp, trembling. You fool. You think love is about deserving? You think I stopped waking up every day wishing I could hear your voice? Shane's breath catches, her boots scrape as she rises. Shane stood, torn open by words she thought she'd never hear. 17 years of silence collapsed under Marguerite's fire. Shane, low, raw, almost breaking. I never stopped loving you. Not for 1 second. Even when I told myself I had to forget. Marguerite closed the space between them. Eyes wet, voice unsteady but fierce. Marguerite, whisper. Then stop forgetting. Silence, breaths mingling, and then, finally, a kiss. The kiss was urgent, trembling, then steady, desperate as years spill out in one touch. And, just like that, the storm broke. 17 years of ghosts burned away. Only Shane and Marguerite remained. Not shadows. Not silence. Just love, fierce and reckless, colliding at last. Epilogue, 6 months later. Summer returned with birds, kids' laughter in the distance. And the park, calm and alive. 6 months later, the world was different. Not safer. Not easier. But brighter. Gabriella, laughing. I got in. Top of my class. Mom would have. Her voice softens. She'd be proud. Shane chuckles low, warm. She ruffles Gabriella's hair gently. Shane, soft, maternal. She already is, Pequena. More than you know. Gabriella thrived. Stronger. Brighter. No longer just protected, but believing in herself. And Shane? Soft footsteps approach. A French accent slips in, teasing, warm. Marguerite, playful, low. You still brood too much, Callahan. Come on. Life is for living. Marguerite at her side. Storm and flame, fierce as ever. Together. At last. Shane's laugh is rare and unguarded. Shane, soft, with finality. For once. I'm not a ghost anymore. Then she kisses her, tentative at first, and then a soft moan from Marguerite, and Shane deepens it. 17 years of longing, and one evaporates in their kiss. They break apart, both breathing hard, foreheads resting against each other. And so, the shadows lifted. Promises kept. Love found. Ghosts laid to rest. The ghost was no more. Only Shane. And the life she finally chose to live. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and like this video and follow me for more stories. You are always welcome here, and leave me a comment or a thumbs up, just letting me know if you like the story and would like more, or is there perhaps an idea that you would like to share or let me write for you.